call to order the regular meeting of the York County School Board for April 26th, 2021. As we approach May and we get closer to the end of the school year, we can reflect back on the progress we have made over the last year in getting our students back in the schools and the ability to navigate through the changes and challenges. But with that being said, we are still remaining focused on our priorities and we are dedicated to finishing the year strong. I would like to mention that in addition to our YCSD TV channels, our meeting is also being streamed live on our YouTube channel or YouTube page, and I'm now going to read the mission statement of YCSD. The mission of the York County School Division is to engage all students in acquiring the knowledge and skills needed to make productive contributions in the world. Regarding the wearing of masks, per the governor's orders, individuals are to remain masked when indoors and within the presence of others. However, the mask mandate includes a provision to remove masks when communicating with individuals who may be hard of hearing. To ensure that our closed captioning is able to accurately capture our presenters' comments, staff may remove their masks at the podium as we have the additional barrier in place. Next, I'll share some information about our pledge leader, Isabella Wynn, a 5th grade student at Magruder Elementary. Isabella Wynn is a 5th grade student in Miss Lena White's class. She is a student that truly embodies the Magruder Panther Cub spirit. Not only is Isabella kind, creative, and respectful, but she is hardworking and determined to do her very best no matter what the task is at hand. Isabella enjoys practicing and performing many different styles of dance outside of school, as well as modeling while maintaining straight A average. Isabella has been a wonderful role model for the other students in Mrs. White's class. She is always willing to lend a helping hand or to offer a kind word to her classmates. Isabella was a wonderful participant during our time learning virtually, always actively engaged in our lessons and sharing her thoughts and sparking many class conversations. Mrs. White notes that she is honored to have Isabella in her class this year and knows she is destined for great things. Please stand as Isabella leads us in our pledge.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag for the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Isabella, for that. We're going to move right on to our awards and recognitions, and we're going to start with our Seniors of the Month. We'll start with Bruton High School, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you. The Senior of the Month for April 2021 is Elijah Smith. He's the son of Mr. and Mrs. Andrew Smith, and Bruton is very proud to acknowledge the accomplishments of Elijah. Eli is an articulate, bright, and exceptional young man who demonstrates high personal and academic standards. Eli is a salutatorian of the class of 2021. Eli has maintained a rigorous schedule with over 20 advanced placement and advanced classes.
Wow.
Eli has had many life experiences that have shaped him into this exceptional person that he has become. One comment I hear repeatedly from his teachers is his intellectual curiosity to learn. He's inquisitive and analytical in how he seeks out new experiences, perspectives, and understandings of new concepts. Eli is a member of the YCSD School of the Arts in the Literacy Arts program. Eli is a student who has managed to put forth an exceptional effort in a variety of extracurricular activities at his school and his community. In his junior year, he interned with Dr. Mark Downey for the 2019 campaign for Virginia House of Delegates. Eli really learned more about his community and the issues that were important to him, as well as local government and politics. Eli started Teens Coalition for the Culture, which educated teens about government policy toward the environment. Much of his effort was lost with the COVID pandemic, and he will continue his efforts to promote youth involvement when school reconvenes, which is now. His backpacking and rock climbing experiences on the Appalachian Trail inspired his interest in the global environment. Eli exemplifies real leadership. He has been a member of the Model UN team. He was captain of cross country for 2 years and the team leader for indoor and outdoor track for 2 years. Mainly self-taught, he plays several instruments, such as the piano, guitar, drums, and mandolin. We are excited for Eli as he plans to study public policy or government at Dartmouth this fall. Congratulations, Eli. You definitely earned it. Thank you.
We have another picture where Eli and his father were giving each other bunny ears, but I guess we decided not to use that one. Mr. Richardson's going to share with us about the Grafton High School Senior of the Month.
Thank you, Mr. Higginbotham. And it's with great pride and enthusiasm that we recognize Kyle Hugh as Grafton's Senior of the Month. During his time at Grafton, Kyle has dedicated himself to becoming a hardworking, motivated, and proactive young man. Academically, Kyle is one of Grafton's top students with an outstanding 4.868 grade point average. Kyle ranks second in his senior class. Kyle has always sought out the most demanding, challenging courses since middle school, and upon graduation, Kyle will have completed an astounding 25 AP courses or college-level coursework. Kyle has seized every opportunity at Grafton High School has presented him and has come out of these challenging and demanding courses with success. Kyle has participated in the Governor's School for Science and Technology, where he has successfully completed courses in the program's engineering strand. Kyle was awarded the highest honors in calculus-based engineering physics across the entire Governor's School Science and Technology program. While it is clear that Kyle is a standout student, Kyle understands the value of being multidimensional in non-academic areas. Kyle is a talented musician who commits several hours each day to his musical passions on the piano. And it's through music, Kyle has learned to appreciate different cultures and means of self-care while playing his instruments. His musical talents have received a multitude of awards at both the state and international levels of competition. Kyle is also a strong competitor at Grafton's Scholastic Bowl team, where he earned a place on the All-State team. He enjoys the fire of competition, but also loves getting to meet students from across the state with shared interests who value intellectual challenges. Kyle is also a selfless volunteer who has used his time and talents to help distribute meals and resources for those less fortunate families in the greater community through his local food bank. Kyle is an outstanding young man, and we are so proud of his accomplishments and honored to recognize him as Grafton's Senior of the Month. Good job, Kyle.
And Mr. Myatt's going to tell us about Tab High School.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Tab High School Senior of the Month for April, Christine Geyer. I also like to congratulate Christine's parents, David and Elaine Geyer. Christine is an accomplished person inside and outside of school. Although she manages a very rigorous class load, she remains heavily involved in both her school and community. Christine is kind and polite, but also competitive and passionate, particularly about those things in which she believes. Christine genuinely enjoys learning, getting to know her teachers, and works hard to do her best each and every time. She is a member of the National Honor Society, named a National Merit Commended Scholar, and was selected as the Division 12 Kiwanis Club Teenager of the Year, and will compete for the Kiwanis Capital District Teenager of the Year award, which includes youth from Washington, D.C., Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. She participates in the usual honor societies and is involved in an impressive number of clubs at TAB. She has held leadership positions in several clubs to include president and vice president. Through her leadership, advocacy, and clear communication, she earned honorable delegate and outstanding delegation awards at numerous Model United Nations competitions. Additionally, Christine is heavily involved in national and state-level music organizations, where she received honors at the NATS, National Association of Singing Teachers Voice Competition, honorable mention at the Eastern District Piano Competition, and was selected for the all-district and all-state choirs every year since her freshman year of 9th grade. She was the first freshman in the district selected to state chorus and received the Janice Schiffner Incentive Award at the Mary Smart Piano Competition. She strives for perfection in musical interpretation and is very competitive. She hopes to minor or double major in either music performance or music education, as well as join a choir to continue singing. We learned this morning when we stopped by to pay her visit for Senior of the Month that Christine and her parents shared with us that she was accepted to the University of Richmond, and she has accepted a full scholarship. So everybody was very excited about that. Christine is friendly, outgoing, and considerate. Manners and professionalism are important to her, and she is confident and sophisticated. She's an outstanding student who is driven to succeed, and it's with great pleasure that we recognize Christine as the Tabb High Senior of the Month. Congratulations, Christine.
And Ms. Geralt is going to share with us about York High School.
The Senior of the Month for York High School is Anna Tornatore, and her parents are Michelle and Jet. York High School is happy to announce Anna Tornatore as our April Senior of the Month. Anna is a hardworking, responsible, and determined young woman. Anna has excelled throughout her time at York High School and is a student in the York County School Division Honors Program. She also attends the Governor's School for Science and Technology and has a strong passion for science. Anna's academic achievements have earned her acceptance into the National Honor Society, Science National Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, and Spanish National Honor Society. Anna is an AP scholar with honors and has received highest academic honors each year throughout her time in high school. Anna is a valuable member of the girls' varsity soccer team and a talented athlete. Her drive on the field has helped her earn first team all-region. Anna serves as captain of the team and pushes her teammates to be the best they can be on and off the field. Anna excels as a leader because she is kind, inclusive, and encouraging. Anna has a strong passion for helping others and being involved in the community. Last spring, Anna and a classmate started a baking company to help raise money for local organizations. They were able to raise over $800 and donated the money to Habitat for Humanity and Natasha House. In our visit today, we did learn that she will be going to Duke, and she's also TikTok famous for her Duke acceptance. I guess there were a lot of moms crying on that video. Anna's an amazing student and a standout amongst her peers. We're proud to have her as part of the Falcon family. Congratulations, Anna.
We're going to move on to the Volunteers of the Year awards. As we shared last meeting, due to the limitations of the past year because of the pandemic, the board has not been having Volunteer of the Month recommendations. So we felt it was time to honor some of the individuals who are serving in various ways, often behind the scenes, to help our schools, staff, and students during these challenging times. In March, we recognized our elementary volunteers, and this month we will recognize some special secondary level volunteers who continue to use their talents to support our schools in very creative ways. We will share just a few highlights about each person, but their entire narrative is located in the board docs. We also have an award. The award will be given to each recipient by their principal over the next week. This Volunteer of the Year award instead of just Volunteer of the Month, due to this being such a unique year. We'll start with Grafton Middle School. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you again, Mr. Higginbotham. And Grafton Middle School would like to recognize Kristen Ball, our PTA president, and as our Volunteer of the Year for 2020-2021 school year. Although school closures due to the COVID-19 pandemic have been an obstacle, it has not stopped Kristen and the PTSA's support of Grafton Middle School community. She continues to lead creatively, holding regular meetings and engaging the community through social media. Food drives, closing drives, fundraisers have helped to build community spirit and represent the heart of YCSD. Mrs. Ball and her team work with servants' hearts and are greatly appreciated. Congratulations, Ms. Ball.
Moving on to Queens Lake Middle School, Mr. Schaefer.
Yes. Queens Lake Middle School Volunteer of the Year is Jennifer Hindman. It's always a great day to be a Panther when we have the support of amazing volunteers like Mrs. Jennifer Hindman. She serves our school as a PTA president. She plans family events like our food truck nights and keeps our spirit high with staff appreciation treats each month and resources for students like picnic tables for outdoor seating. This winter, she worked to secure a special grant for STEM boxes for our students to explore at home and have family STEM nights. To say that our school is better for having Mrs. Hindman as a parent volunteer is an understatement. We appreciate all that she gives, and she is so deserving to be our Volunteer of the Year.
And Tabb Middle School.
Yeah, Tabb Middle School is proud to recognize not one distinguished volunteer, but rather a dynamic duo, Hillary and Bob Lutz. In addition to their service on the PTA Executive Board, this team has supported nearly every Tabb Middle event over the last 3 years. They welcome new families by stuffing welcome packets, distributing membership information, and selling spiritware. In the words of Elizabeth Andrew, volunteers do not necessarily have the time, they just have the heart. Thank you both for sharing your time and unwavering dedication to the Tabb Middle School family.
Yorktown Middle School.
Absolutely. It gives me great pleasure to recognize Miss Teresa Bunn as Yorktown Middle School's Volunteer of the Year. In the 2 years that Mr. Meadows has worked with her in her role as PTSA president, she's forever seeking out ways to help others and further new initiatives. One example of this has been the monthly food and funding donation competitions. In January, she helped to raise approximately $1,055 to support the development of an outdoor classroom. The following month, Teresa led a middle school competition for donations, which went to YMS families. Mr. Meadows cannot fully put into words what she means to the school and how her dedication to volunteerism is so greatly appreciated. Congratulations, Teresa.
Bruton High School.
Yes. Bruton High School's Volunteer of the Year is Beth Hertzler. Bruton High School appreciates the volunteer support provided by Beth Hertzler during the global pandemic. Beth, the owner of Shoe Fly Dairy, has provided support and assistance to our students, our school, and our Bruton Zone community this year. When our senior class needed a place to hold a grab-and-go event to celebrate their accomplishments, Shoe Fly quickly worked with us to make this event a success. She has also allowed clubs and parent organizations to hold safe and socially distanced spirit nights at Shoe Fly. Beth continued supporting our students by organizing a Toys for Teens drive in December, which allowed her organization to provide an Amazon Fire tablet to several students at Bruton. We are happy to recognize Beth as the Bruton High School Volunteer of the Year.
It's with great pride and enthusiasm to recognize Martha Owens as Grafton High School's Volunteer of the Year. Martha has supported Grafton for over 9 years. She has not only been a part of our PTSA and Booster Club for those 9 years, but she has served on the executive board for both. Martha has played an integral role in the success of monthly senior activities, homecoming events and activities, Fun Fridays, and prom. You will not see Martha without her camera. She captures all the fun, all the smiles, and all the memories to each of our events. Martha embodies everything it means to be a Clipper, have a positive attitude, integrity, and being a true leader. Thank you, Martha. In Tabb High School.
Tabb High School would like to recognize Andrea Ross as our Volunteer of the Year. Prior to serving as the after-prom co-chair, Ms. Ross served as the Tabb High School PTSA president. During her presidency, the Tabb High PTSA continued to support students and staff through luncheons, goodie bags, and traditional Orange Crush days for students. We are very fortunate to have Andrea as part of our Tabb community and would like to thank her for her years of service to Tabb High.
And last but not least, York High School.
Of course. York High School is proud to recognize Katie Morgan as its Volunteer of the Year. As a leader of the senior parent group, she has dedicated countless hours planning and preparing monthly activities and acknowledgments for our students. She's organized and facilitated a number of senior recognition nights and send-off gifts. Katie has volunteered for the PTSA and has supported countless PTSA events held at York High School. As her eldest son graduates, we're grateful that we will have her for at least 3 more years while her younger son continues at York. It is not an over-exaggeration when we say that we do not know what we would have done this year without Katie. Congratulations, Katie.
One more time, congratulations to all the seniors of the month and the volunteers of the year.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the next portion of our meeting, we'll start with unfinished business. I don't have any on the agenda. Did I miss anything, members? Okay, then we'll move right on to our presentations, and we have a reopening update. Dr. Shandor?
Thank you, Mr. Higginbotham. Good evening, board members. Our first presentation this evening is going to be Dr. Carroll, our Chief Operations Officer, who will present this month's reopening update. Dr. Carroll?
Yes, sir. There we go. All right, thank you, Dr. Shandor, Chairman Higginbotham, members of the board. Tonight, another update on how we're doing with reopening or recovering from COVID and increasing our in-person learning. So first of all, recap of the current situation because we haven't been with you for some weeks now. So the current community transmission dropped from highest risk to substantial risk on April 10th. During that time, the flexible framework, we had moved to expand the hybrid to 4 days of instruction for all grades, and at that point on April 12th, which was the day after spring break, is when we brought the remaining grades in. The community transmission has remained at substantial risk through today, April 26, despite the expected spike that in case numbers after spring break. And so we're still holding it substantial. CDC, VDOE, and VDH have continued to revise guidance as we go along. I'll talk a little bit more about that farther in the presentation. And we've been working with traffic, with the increased traffic at the schools, and that appears to have leveled out at most of the school buildings. And we continue to work with the Sheriff's Department to try to improve that situation. So our local health metrics, where we sit now, technically this was the last report on April 17th. Remember that we get this on a weekly basis, but it's 4 days old once we get it, but they only put it out once a week. But you can see a marked improvement here with the amount of new cases per 7 days now down to 73.7. To give you some context there, the last time I gave you data, that was from March 13th, so roughly a month before, and at that point we were at 141, so nearly cut in half as far as new cases. So that's good, and you can see we're squarely in the middle of substantial there. And the positivity rate, a big improvement there. It's just dipped into the lowest category, and that may have come up just a tick since then, but we'll see. But we're seeing a much improvement in positivity also. And we continue to track positive cases on our dashboard, which is available 24/7 for our school community. As I stated earlier, we did see a spike in cases after spring break. We feel like we're on the downward slide of that now. This was from noon today, where we had 16 active cases. We should have 3 or 4 more that are in the pipeline. So that would bring us to about 20. So we are seeing more cases. Now that doesn't mean all of those have walked in the building. Sometimes people stay out because they feel ill, and then they get a positive case. So that is an increase from what we were seeing before, but we do think that that's going to start to trail down in the coming next couple of weeks. The problem here is, as I stated in previous presentations, was when we bring more students in for 4 days, that means they're in tighter quarters, then that means that we're going to have more quarantines, and we do. We have 146 active quarantines right now. Those are both with close contacts in the building and also community exposures that are separate from the school. So that's just by virtue of having more students in closer quarters. But we are happy to state we still do not have any new transmissions since February 8th. So we still continue to do well on that front. This is the same information in a different format. You'll remember this is a matrix from VDH that was prescriptive in what we could do as far as bringing students back. We were already pushing the edge of the envelope a little bit, and now we're in substantial transmission. No implications here, just wanted to show you something and be consistent with earlier messaging we've had with the board. So with new guidance, as I said earlier, the CDC over spring break de-emphasized the high contact surface cleaning. So we have given direction to our staff to change the way they're doing business, especially our custodial staff who were working extremely hard every 2 hours going around the building, spraying all the high contact surfaces, doorknobs, railings, that type of thing. We are now moving them to a twice a day, which is in line with the guidance, and that is going to allow us to finally get our custodians on a normal schedule, and that's a big relief because they have done great service for us all year long. We also have relieved the teachers of that duty now. Instead of having to clean after every class change or change of a desk, they now only have to do it twice a day, midday and at the end of the day. The governor and the VDH have also increased the number of people that can be in attendance for graduation, which we're all thankful for, and music performances. Those are different numbers, so I won't go into the specifics there, but it's going to significantly expand the amount of people that we can have for those types of events, and we've extended that guidance down to the schools. So next steps, and Ms. Skinner will be going into more detail here, but we do plan to return to school 5 days per week in the fall because we'll be able to adjust our structures for that. There will be a virtual option, but it will be structured differently. And the mitigation strategies, we'll still have them, but we'll follow the VDH guidance at that time. And I would take a moment here to talk about mitigation strategies. You know that we still report out on the website as far as what kind of community transmission is in the eastern region, on the larger peninsula, and in York County. And that was a kind of a holdover from 2 different guidances ago. And so, and we were supposed to report on the 5 main mitigation strategies and how we were doing there. About 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, when we did move towards moving 4 days a week, we did adjust our reporting there where we said that we were in low as far as, or the highest rating that you would as far as being consistent on all 5 of those strategies. We did move that marker in 1 to moderate because we wanted to be as transparent as possible that that's based on the 6-foot distance. I mean, we have been okayed to go to 3 feet with students, but 6 feet still is the safest thing you could do. So we did want to do that in transparency or the most conservative way to report numbers. So that's, if anybody has questions to that, that's why we're at that. So when we come to the fall, I'm sure there'll be some revisions and mitigation strategies by the time we get to September, and we'll be following whatever guidance that we have at that time. Would like to remind the school community that we still ask that everybody strictly follow the mitigation practices, not only in school with the kids, but at home and in the community, especially when it comes to the daily health screening. We do have examples of students and staff that aren't vaccinated that enter the building even though they know they don't feel good. So we urge parents to please check with their students, follow those guidelines because we haven't had any transmissions from that, but we have had an awful lot of quarantines from students that then find out that they're positive after the fact. So we want to reinforce that. We also want to remind everybody to wear their mask, wash their hands, and once again, stay home when they're sick. And one last thing, we want to make everybody aware of the fact, if they weren't yet, that Virginia is now in phase 2 of vaccine distribution. And that means everyone that is 16 years or older is now eligible under the rules of Virginia. So in order to work towards that knowledge base, we want to report out today. There's 2 main ways with Vaccinate Virginia that you access vaccinations. And so the first one is vaccinefinder.org, and then the second one is to call that phone number and work towards getting a vaccine. So just wanted to build that awareness. And with that, that concludes my report, and I welcome any questions you might have.
Thank you, Dr. Carroll.
It's all good news.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
Our next presentation is on the 2021-2022 school year in instructional planning. Dr. Shandor, would you share some more information?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Higginbotham. Ms. Skinner, our Chief Academic Officer, is now going to provide information related to planning for 2021 and 22. While she's doing the presentation, I do want to recognize we have some staff members here from her department in the instructional group that she works with. They have done an amazing job spending day and night and weekends to put a lot of this information together tonight. So while Candy's going to present the information, she's got a few folks in here tonight who really worked hard to put this stuff together. So Ms. Skinner, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Chairman Higginbotham, members of the board, Dr. Shandor. Tonight, I'll provide you with an overview of the instructional options that we're planning for the 2021-22 school year. And then I'll also provide you with a brief update on Summer Academy and kindergarten registration. In March of this year, the General Assembly passed House Bill 1303, and that House bill really has 2 components to it which are helping to drive our decisions for the fall. The first, the bill does require that public schools provide in-person instruction to meet the minimum instructional hours for students. So that for us, that's 180 days or 990 hours. And so that's the first component. We consider that to be like a traditional model. And then the second part of that bill, it states that schools may provide fully remote virtual options for students and families as well, and that's a virtual model. So I'm going to talk a little bit about both of these models tonight and what we're planning. For the 21-22 school year, we are planning to provide 5 days of in-person instruction for our students. This is something that we believe is the best model for our students. We want our students to return fully in person. We think that being in person with a teacher is the best way for us to ensure learning is taking place. So we're going to encourage all students to return to that model. Unlike last year when we asked our families to commit at the beginning, if you remember back in August, we asked our families to make a decision whether they wanted to be in person or if they wanted to go virtual. We're not going to have that family commitment form this year. All students will be placed in the in-person model as we start the school year. However, we do know that there are some families that may require virtual instruction next year or may wish to have virtual instruction for their child. So we will offer a limited full-time synchronous model for our students in grades K through 12, and that will be available by application. Since in-person will be our primary model of instruction, I want to begin by kind of describing what that model will look like. And Dr. Carroll shared a few things, but I know this is one of the questions that a lot of our families have is, what will it look like? While hybrid and concurrent instruction helped us kind of get through this year, and we needed those models to ensure we had some flexibility in how we delivered instruction, it is not our plan to use the hybrid and concurrent instructional models as our delivery for next year. As I shared earlier, we really want everything to be in person with our students. However, we do know that we need to be prepared as the pandemic is not over. We have to be prepared to switch at any time to possibly, if we have to take a class or a school to quarantine or something of that nature, we'll be prepared to move into that model if need be. We will still continue with our one-to-one initiative. We will be using our computers in the classrooms. We'll ask our students to bring those to and from school. We wouldn't expect our students to be on those computers all day, but what we will use those computers to do is to enhance instruction like a true one-on-one model does in most school divisions. So also in thinking about next year, there's a lot of planning that we've been doing and we've been talking with our principals about. The first one, it has to do with those mitigation strategies that Dr. Carroll mentioned. As we return, we know that there's going to be more students in our schools. And so we will continue those mitigation strategies to make sure that we're planning for that. As Dr. Carroll said, we'll be in close contact following those VDH guidelines. We also recognize, and this is sometimes hard to believe, we have students that have not been in school since March of last school year. We have students that are now middle schoolers or high schoolers and they've never stepped foot in their school. And we even have some students who've been through almost a full year of school and they've never been to school. So we know that that's going to cause some anxiety for some of our students. And we're already planning and talking with our principals about how we can transition those students successfully and make sure that they feel comfortable coming back to school. We're working on those plans now with our principals. We're also looking at providing some opportunities maybe this summer for them to come visit schools, and then if need be, maybe giving them a mentor or having some one-on-one meetings with families to help with some of that anxiety. We also know, along with reacclimating to a building, there's some other things that we have to help prepare our students for. And one of those is reorienting to in-person learning when it comes to schedules, getting to know that daily schedule again, changing classes for our secondary students, getting to know the staff. Some of our students don't know the staff that are in the building, so we'll take some extra time to make sure that we're doing those things. And then really setting a positive tone at the beginning of the year with learning expectations for in-person learning. We also know that it is critically important for our students to connect with our schools and in our schools. With the many challenges we face this year, some of our students were not able to form those connections like they have in the past. And so our goal in this coming school year is to reconnect all of our students. We want our students to have friends in the school that they feel comfortable and they know. We want them to engage in extracurricular activities and clubs and those learning activities that they enjoy. And so we'll take extra steps to make sure that we do get our students connected back into school if they have not been so already. Learning loss, as I've talked to you about a number of times, that is something that we've been monitoring very closely this school year. We've used lots of assessments like our new MAPS assessment. We'll use the SOL data that we'll have shortly. And we're also using things like PALS assessments to help us understand where our students may have some learning loss. We're going to be planning for interventions for those students as we go into next school year. And we'll also be looking at any curriculum instruction adjustments that we need to make. Additionally, we know that when our students come back next year, there'll be a lot of needs when it comes to social emotional learning. We're already planning for that. Katie Gaylord shared a little bit of the work that she's doing. We've also, as you know, worked on adding some additional staff members. We are in the process of hiring 2 additional school counselors, 2 school social workers, and 2 school psychologists, as well as behavior interventionists. So having those staff members in addition will help us in that process. In addition, those things that we've talked about that we've been doing this year, as far as building social emotional learning into the daily classroom, we'll continue to do those things next year as well. So now I'm going to transition over to the full-time synchronous option that I mentioned at the beginning in regards to House Bill 1303. So instruction, the full-time virtual instruction this coming school year, we are going to partner with Virtual Virginia. Virtual Virginia is centered in the Virginia Department of Education. We've used them before to provide classes to supplement our instruction during the school year, but we've not used them as a fully virtual program because they've not offered that really in the past. And so we are partnering with them. Dr. Cagle and her team are on daily contact with Virtual Virginia. And we will use them to help support. There may be some opportunities for us that we may have to use our own virtual high school in some cases where there's a course that our students must have that Virtual Virginia will not offer. For example, some of our students, or all of our students in middle school, have to have a career connections class. And so if there's an 8th grader who would be signing up for fully virtual but they have not had that course, we have to provide that course to them, so we would supplement through that. The Virtual Virginia for Elementary offers a full program. They are going to offer reading, language arts, math, social studies, science, STEM, PE, and social emotional learning supports. And at the secondary level, they do offer those required academic courses with some limited elective options as well for students. One of the things that as I shared, there are limits to their course offerings, so that's really important for us to know as we are thinking about that virtual option. And then last but not least, students that go to the Virtual Virginia program, they also offer courses that go beyond our own current program of studies. And so one of the things that we have to keep in mind that is if a student does go to this program for virtual instruction, they may only take the courses that are part of our program of studies. A few other important things to know about this program. The part of that bill talks about that learning must be synchronous if it's virtual, and so this program will offer synchronous instruction with camera on. The expectation is that students will have to have their cameras on during instruction. The teachers that will teach this are licensed Virginia teachers, and any student who currently receives specialized services through us, for example, a student who has special needs through special education or a 504 plan, students who are English learners, or a student who's in our gifted program, they would still receive those services through York County, and we would organize and collaborate with Virtual Virginia for those. And probably a question that many people have is, will the student remain a York County student? And the answer to that is yes. They do remain a York County student and therefore will have access to things such as after-school clubs and sports, things of that nature. When we think about Virtual Virginia, while they are providing that full-time synchronous instruction, it does look different than our in-person program, and so I want to just hit a few of those highlights with you, but more information will be shared later during parent meetings. The first thing is that Virtual Virginia does have a unique calendar. Because they're going to be servicing every school division possibly in the state of Virginia, their calendar is different than our calendar. And an example of that is they start school on the 24th of August. They end on May 27th. Their spring break is shorter than our spring break. Their winter holiday is a little bit different than ours. Also, they use a different technology platform. They use Google, and their meetings are done through Zoom. And the textbooks for Virtual Virginia are contingent on the teacher that is teaching the course. We will purchase the textbooks for those students, but their textbooks may not be the textbooks we are using in our schools. Grading is a little bit different. While they'll still get their normal grades, when they transfer those grades to us, they do not use Aspen. So those grades have to be converted over to our system, and that is done on a periodic basis, but it's not like it is where it's every week. It's a little bit different in regards to that as well. Virtual Virginia does have midterms and exams as part of their program, and as I shared earlier, there are some limited course offerings. An example of that would be band. Band is not provided through Virtual Virginia, so that would not be something that we could offer through a virtual program next year. And last but not least, there is a rotating schedule, and that rotating schedule changes each day. So first block on a Monday changes to a different time on Tuesday, changes to a different time on Thursday. And there's a reason that they do that, and Dr. Cagle, I'm sure, has had many of those conversations with them. And there's also an evening component from about 6 to 9 p.m. where there may be some time that those students must attend some of those elective and AP courses. All right, so that's a little bit about the Virtual Virginia. Again, there's a whole lot more on their website, and we're going to share more with parents, and I'll share that with you in a minute. So to apply for this program, we want to make sure that our students are prepared and make sure that to ensure that they are set up for success with this program, because it is very different than the virtual program that we have run this school year. And so we have an application process that I'm going to go through here with you. And the first is making sure that the students meet the criteria. We have established criteria for students for this program because of the nature of how independent students must be and some of the things that they must be able to do as part of this program. So I'm going to go through that criteria, and then I'm going to come back to this application process. The criteria that we would like for our students to meet in order to participate: first, we'd like our students to have a C or higher in all of their courses this year from quarters 1 through 3, and passing all courses currently. In addition to that, we want to make sure that students do not have more than 3 unexcused absences for this school year. And another component or criteria is that we want to make sure that they've met all the prerequisites. And so that's really important for our high school students who are on track for graduation. We want to make sure that before they sign up, that they have the prerequisites for the courses that are offered. And then last but not least, we are asking our families to make a 1-year commitment to this program for a number of reasons. Number one, we want to make sure we have stability for students in whatever program they choose. And the second one for that is there is a cost from the school division to send students to this program. So we want to make sure that our families are willing to make that 1-year commitment before enrolling. So going back to the application process, the second part, after if they've met the criteria and the family wants to go further into looking into this option for their student, they would fill out a readiness assessment checklist. And what we've done is we've developed a form for the families and students together to sit down and go through to see if they meet the certain criteria, things such as their skills, their attributes, their previous student experiences, things like that. Where they're unable to make a check mark, it shows the student or the family where there might be a barrier so they can kind of think through that as a family. It's really to help them see if they feel like they have the readiness to take on this option. If the family, once the family's done that and they want to continue down this, they would then set up a time to meet with the school. And the school would make sure that they could answer any additional questions for the family, look at the students' progress as far as their schedule goes. If the student has an IEP or a 504 plan, we actually would begin the process with the IEP team or the 504 team right then. So that process then begins through that. And then after that, the parent would submit the application to the school, and then the school would then, as a team, look and review that for final approval. And on that school team, we've asked for a building administrator, a school counselor, and a teacher who had taught that student this school year to be a member of that team so that they can really look at all of those pieces to make sure that the student is set with success. All right. I'm sorry, I meant to click those as we went. All right, so last but not least, I know that probably families have a lot of questions about this. If families are interested in this option, the first thing I would encourage them to do is to go to our website. There's some initial information on there, and we're going to be continuing to add more information. We're also going to offer parent information sessions because I'm sure there's a lot of question-specific information, and we're going to really go into a lot more detail with our families in those information sessions. We're going to offer 2 for elementary on the April 29th at 12, and then on May 4th in the evening to give parents who might work an option different times of the day, and we're doing the same for secondary. During those meetings, they'll be able to ask some questions. They will also be able to fill out a form where someone will call them directly and answer any questions specific to their child that they might have. And then the application process will begin May 4th, once we've had a chance for all of our families to go through those information sessions. We would like the application process to close on May 21st so that we can make sure that we get those students registered for Virtual Virginia and begin, before the school year ends, begin some of that transition for them. But of course, we know we have a transient population, and we may have families come in over the summer. We will certainly work with those families if this is an option that they want to pursue. We'll make sure that we also continue that process for them. Okay, so that is all I have to share about the upcoming school year. And before I go into Summer Academy, I'm going to stop and just see if you have any questions for me.
You mentioned application process?
Yes.
So is it for approval and or non-approval, right? In other words, if a child is not approved, you've done the readiness assessment and so forth, what then is their option?
So it is an approval process because we really want to make sure our students are set up for success in this virtual environment. Certainly, if a parent disagrees with that decision, they can appeal that process to the principal, and the principal will work with them. And then if the only thing after that would be an approval to a director here at the school board office.
Okay.
But after that, the decision would be final.
Gotcha. And the final and the alternative, of course, is 5 days in person.
Yes, and so we do want to work with our families, though. I mean, I don't want to sound like
Sure.
it's, so definitive. I think every student is unique, and every family's situation is unique, and so we really want to make sure that we're working with our families through this process.
And we don't see from Virtual Virginia any enrollment ceilings, any.
We've verified with them a number of times that there would not be a cap because, what the rush to get our students in, and they have assured us, and Dr. Cagle, that there is not a ceiling, that we can continue ongoing enrollment.
And one last one. One-to-one technology, we'll continue to provide the technology. Got it. Thank you.
Yes.
Mine is less of a question and more of a statement. I know all of us have said that, concurrent learning, we didn't want to continue that next year, and so I'm just grateful that you guys have figured out a way and are saying no concurrent learning. So thank you very much for working on that, because I know that's what our teachers have been saying that they don't want to do. And what's best for them and best for the students. So thank you very much.
We appreciated the work that our teachers have done around concurrent instruction, and I believe our teachers are doing a great job with it. But we do know the struggles that it creates sometimes for students and for teachers.
Pardon me if you've already answered this question, but just for anybody who might be thinking about using the virtual option next year, does Virtual Virginia use similar instructional delivery models like with Canvas, Microsoft Teams, or do we know exactly what they use?
So they do use Canvas,
Okay.
but they use Google, and it's not Teams, it's Zoom. So it is different, and they will be providing orientation and some technical support for our students, because we know that will be different for them. Because we don't use those products, it would be hard for us to provide that. So we will work with Virtual Virginia to make sure students get what they need in regards to that.
Very thorough, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to the next topic, which is Summer Academy. And find my spot here. So Summer Academy we are planning to offer Summer Academy to our students June 28th through July 28th. July 5th, of course, is a holiday observed. And during Summer Academy, we will be providing free breakfast and lunch to our students. Registration will occur through home schools, as it always has. I will share that in previous conversations with the board, I've talked about really wanting to make this a robust summer academy, and we are working very hard to do so. There is a slight challenge that we have encountered, and that is staffing. And so we are working really hard to continue to recruit teachers. We've been reaching out to teachers who've done this in the past. We've met with every faculty in every school to talk to them. We've also worked to increase the pay for our staff, and we actually have recruited outside of the school division. So we're continuing to try to find staff to fill these positions and hope that we will be successful in that endeavor. And also, for the first time ever, we are offering high-interest summer camps for our students, and more information about that is going to be coming out very soon. We're excited about that opportunity. In regards to elementary and middle school summer academy, one thing that we've done this year is we have extended the hours slightly, so students will be in summer academy a little bit longer. And we are really focusing on addressing English and math, literacy and math learning gaps with our students. But that being said, we are really focused on the well-being of our students and really making sure that in this summer academy, students are not sitting behind a computer, that we've got them up. We're going to try to make, we're building in PE, we're building in STEM activities. We're also looking at adding some resource courses to the day. So our students are learning, but they're also active, because we know that they've been, it's been a long year for everyone, and so we want to make sure that our students have those opportunities in summer to engage in those activities. Selection will be based on student academic need, because we may be a little limited in our staff. We have to make sure we're prioritizing those students. But we do have families that may want to see if their student can go to summer academy. And so what I would say is, for those families that would like their students to be a part of it, reach out to their home school. We're certainly, every year we always create a waiting list. And as we have opportunities to bring students in, we call those families very quickly, and we try to get those students in. Even in the middle of summer, we've done that for students. And then at high school level, we will continue, as we have in the past, to offer credit recovery and original credit opportunities for our students. This summer, we are also employing student connection coaches. We have those in our high schools now, but we are going to also involve them in our summer academy, as we're working to try to get some of our students back on track for graduation and helping to support them. Summer Academy at the high school level is primarily done online. It's been tradition to do it that way. But we are also offering in-person options through our learning labs, and also bringing in some certified teachers to offer additional support to our students this summer. Course registration for this will begin at the end of May. We want to give our students a little more time this semester to continue to find success, but that course registration will be sent out towards the end of May. All right, and last but not least this evening, I'm going to talk a little bit about kindergarten registration. So the class of 2035 will be joining us next year. And we, as we always do, we want to make sure we talk to those families and give them a good understanding of what to expect in kindergarten. So we will do a kindergarten kickoff, as we've done every year. It will be virtual again this year. And during those sessions, what we do is we give an overview to our families of what to expect, the day in the life of a kindergarten student. We give time for questions and answers, and then we also help them with that registration process and getting them rolling. They have a lot of questions about immunizations and things of that nature. This information is being sent out through links on our Facebook, our Twitter, and our YCSD in-school web pages for our families to sign up. So if a family has not done so already, please do so. We also send information out to our military bases and our local preschool programs and our Head Start. And this year, I'm excited to share, Dr. Carroll's team is putting together a mobile bus that will go out into the different zones. I think they're planning at least 2 zone visits per school. where they will work with families to assist them in the registration process. They'll have staff on hand to answer questions. So more information will be coming out soon in regards to that, but we're excited about adding that option this year for our families. And last but not least, the enrollment application, I've put a link here, it's on our webpage. We encourage our families to go ahead and start that enrollment process as soon as possible. And here's my big plea at the end. We are working on, Dr. Vladu and his team and our principals are working on hiring staff for the school year, and it's really, really important for us that we plan and have the right staff in place as our students come to us next year. So we have families that may have chosen a different, academic track this year for our students and may be thinking about coming back. We hope they are. But please reach out to the schools to let the schools know. Start that process now so we know how many students we're going to have at each grade level so that we can make sure that we have appropriate staffing in place. All right, so that concludes my presentation this evening. Do you have any questions about Summer Academy or registration for the fall?
I'll start with kindergarten. I know we had so many kids that didn't come this year that were slated for kindergarten, and do we already have a count to see if we're getting an influx since they can register early? Are we seeing a lot?
We're working through that process. I can't give you a number, but I do know that our Dr. Wrights, who's here, is our director of elementary, and Dr. Carroll's team are already starting to work through that process. They're talking with schools about the numbers and the number of students that are coming in, and we're hoping that we'll be able to see some large numbers here soon. Yes.
And so I just want to clarify this. There is no virtual option for Summer Academy, correct?
There is no virtual option for Summer Academy.
And then my last one is, you said the trouble with staffing with Summer Academy is pay the barrier. Are you hearing that it's just I need a break, stress level? What is actually
It's probably all of the above.
Yeah.
And we have a number of teachers in here. I'm sure they'll be shaking their heads at a number of those different answers. We are going to bring you, later on in the meeting, Dr. Vladu is going to bring you some information related to summer school pay.
Yes, so.
Okay. You had said that the hours were going to be extended. Do you know what they are going to be?
What they're going to be. I'm so sorry. I do not know that. Dr. Wrights might know those hours. For elementary, do you know what in middle school those are? For Summer Academy?
Elementary is
8 to 1 for elementary. And we think middle school is 8 to 1 as well.
Okay, so that's not much of a change, and it's still Monday through Thursday?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
It's a little bit longer. We've added a little bit
Just a
more
little
in
bit.
there and able to provide lunch as well.
Any additional questions?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Skinner. That's a lot of information.
Yeah.
As Mr. Shearhart is coming up to the podium for our next presentation, I did want to share just two quick clarifications. One, high school for summer students is virtual. So I want to make sure that that's clear, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when we say Summer Academy and for high school students, it is virtual.
Yes. High school students will remain virtual as it always has with some in-person supports for students at the school.
Okay, just want to make sure that was clarified.
Yeah.
Yes.
To make sure that was clarified. The second thing would be for graduation. So we are communicating to schools. I think we may have already communicated to them today with some of the regulations and guidance changing from the executive orders. We're going to be, instead of inviting 4 family members per student for graduation, we're going to now let them invite 8 family members or friends to come there. So we've increased that number for all of our high schools. All right. Well, we have one person that's happy about that. All right, so we're going to bring up Mr. Shearhart. Mr. Shearhart is our Associate Director for Capital Plans. It has been a long time since he has presented to you. So we are happy to have him back. We welcome back Mr. Shearhart. He is going to, a very exciting capital project reports presentation. So, Mr. Shearhart, we'll turn it over to you.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Shandor. It is very good to be back up here. We, although it seems like there hasn't been a lot of construction going on, there's been a lot behind the scenes going on, getting prepared for projects for this summer. I'd like to touch on 3 different projects. The first of these is the Bruton High School Learning Commons and the School of the Arts restrooms renovations. So this status of this project is we have received bids from the contractors, and purchasing is in the process of finalizing the contract documents. We had a pre-bid meeting last Thursday, And planned demolition is starting on May 3rd, which is a Monday coming. And the substantial completion date will be August 2nd, with the final completion date of August 16th, so we're done before the students, completely done before the students come back. Again, the project does include renovating the existing library and the School of the Arts restrooms, which are original from the original construction of the building. So this is what the existing library looks like. And this is from a different angle, the existing library. And here is a rendering of the architect, what the architects has done for us here. So they opened it up a lot here. They've given us a lot of, we have daylighting coming in there, and then you can see they put baffles up and took out the ceiling there. Different floors, different look to the entire learning commons. Off to the left-hand side, you see some glass walls there. That's the classroom portion of the learning commons. And then off to the right, off the picture here, you can't see, there are the collaboration spaces. And this next slide here is, you see the one of the collaboration spaces here in the upper left-hand corner, and you see the glass wall there looking out into the learning commons. And then down in the lower right-hand corner, you see the classroom portion of the learning commons. So this is a dizzying overhead view of the entire renovation there. In the center there with the four bookcases, you can see them parallel here with each other. And then on the left-hand side, right-hand side, where you see the three U-shaped tables, those are three collaboration spaces, and you see another one on the left-hand side. Down below that one on the left-hand side is the classroom itself. So it's going to be a very nice renovation there. It's something that's definitely needed. Update that library. The next project is the York High School roof repair and coating. So we have received bids for this project also, and they are also within budget, and purchasing is also working on these contract documents. The project does involve repairing some of the existing roof and then coating the entire roof. It will be in two phases. The first phase will start after July 1st this summer, and then complete in the fall, in October 29th. And then the second phase will start again in May, and then complete in October 31st. The reason for the difference there, or the reason for the gap there, is because of the weather. When they're putting the coating on the roof, the coating needs to be at least 60 degrees, so they can't put it down below that temperature. They can do the roof repairs, but they can't do the coating. So here's a picture of part of the existing roof at York High School. And you can see here what's happening is there's white granules that are on top of these roof membranes. And there's 3 layers of membrane here. They're hot asphalt applied between each of the layers. And each of the top cap sheets here have white granules on them. Those white granules protect the roof. They protect the membrane material from the UV rays of the sun, and it keeps it from degrading that material. And what's happening here, as you can see here, from the weather, the sun, the rain, and just all the weather is moving these or eroding these granules off the roof. And you can see a lot of the granules here are collecting around this roof drain. So this next picture is another area of the York High School roof, and this is what most of it looks like. So right here, all the granules are gone. All the granules are gone from the top of this roof. There's nothing protecting these roof membranes from the sun. So the sun is destroying these roof membranes here. If you walk on the roof, you can see fibers, the fibers in these roof felts. You can actually see the fibers there because the material is actually being eaten away by the sun. So we need to get the roof covered back up again to protect it and prolong it. So the plan is to repair the air. There are sections of the roof that have some moisture in the insulation. We have very few leaks in the roof in the building, but we have some moisture in the roof insulation itself. So we'll cut out those wet areas, and then put down the new roof. Put the new roof in those areas, and then we're going to coat the entire roof with a urethane coating, a white urethane coating. Same thing we did at GRAFTON Complex a few years ago. And that's put down by rollers, and the crews can actually work during the school year and not disturb the classes. In addition to protecting the roof from the UV rays, it's also going to reduce the air conditioning running, so it'll reduce the energy consumption of the building by having the white roof as well. So the last project I'll discuss or talk about this evening is Seaford Elementary School. So the timeline here is the drawings and the construction documents are almost complete. We anticipate starting the construction in July of 2021. And this is the classroom addition only. And the classroom addition, substantial completion should be July 1st of 2022. So they have 1 year to get that addition completed. And then they'll start the renovation in June of 2022 as soon as students leave the school. The renovation substantial completion will be August 20th, so it's completed before school starts again. We are also going to do some bus loop and vehicle parking lot expansions I'll cover a little bit later, and these will take place in summer of 2022 as well. So some of the features of the building renovation, we are expanding the administration area and library. We're relocating the stage. We're taking the stage out of the cafeteria and putting it into the gymnasium, extending it outside wall of the gymnasium, and that'll give us a lot more seating area in the cafeteria. We're also installing windows in the cafeteria and adding a second serving line to the kitchen. For the classrooms, we're replacing the classroom doors, ceilings, lights, cabinets, sinks, shelving, et cetera, et cetera. So there'll be new classrooms, be totally renovated classrooms. We're also renovating the existing restrooms and painting the entire school. In short, we're giving the entire building a makeover. For the classroom addition at the back of the school, there'll be 9 additional classrooms, and we're also creating open collaboration spaces there. And we're also forming a courtyard so they can have an outdoor classroom. Some of the site changes are, we're expanding the bus loop, expanding vehicle parking, relocating some of the basketball courts, and also relocating one ball field slightly to accommodate the expansion of the building. So here's a drawing of the phasing that's going to take place. I want to focus on phase 1B in the center there, that's orange. That's the portion that will take place this coming school year. So the addition is the L-shaped area is the classroom addition there, and you can see in the center of that is where the courtyard is being formed. Then below that is phase 2A in blue, and then phase 2B in yellow. And those areas will be done during the renovation of the fall and the summer of 2022. On the left-hand side, you can see the bus parking loop in phase 2A, which will be in the summer of 2022 as well, and then the vehicle parking lot at the bottom of the slide. I'm sorry, I didn't say at the beginning, Seaford Road is along the bottom of the slide here. So that's to give you a bearing. So this vehicle parking right now is only 1 row of parking there, and they will have 3 rows of parking. So it'd be a tremendous increase in parking at that school, which they desperately needed. So here's a rendering from the architects, aerial view of what the new school will look like. You notice the front is totally different from what the school looks like now. And then you see in the back there the courtyard and the classroom addition at the back of the building. Here's another picture of the front of the school. So it does not look anything like it does right now. And this is my last slide. This is inside the classroom addition at the back of the building. On the side behind the blue wall there are the classrooms. On the left-hand side are collaboration spaces. They're open collaboration spaces, somewhat similar to what we have at Bruton High School in the Learning Commons there, but these are open. You can see the black monitors on the white wall there, and there's a U-shaped table below those black monitors, so they'll have open collaboration space. And then the windows where all the light is coming in at, that's the courtyard outside. And that is going to be my last slide for this evening. Do you have any questions for me?
That's not a question, but after the Bruton High School Senior of the Month, we had a couple of the board members and I had a chance to look at the library, and it was interesting to see the library already being, without any books in it as we're getting ready for the demo and then the new construction. It's exciting to be able to see the space now and then see the renderings here. So I think that's going to be a great addition when it's completed.
So it looks like the renovation at Seaford is going to be very similar to what we did at Waller Mill with a total school renovation with the outside and the inside of the classrooms and really updating that school. Is that correct?
Right. It'll be a total renovation, but we didn't want to make it another Waller Mill. We wanted to give this school its own identity. We wanted Seaford is totally different than Waller Mill.
It is definitely different. It's beautiful.
We wanted them to be
nice.
different.
Well, so is Waller Mill. What are you talking about?
It is. That's beautiful too. They did a great job.
Well, I think the Bulldogs are going to be very happy with this, but I think also the community with the change in parking and bus loops are going to be very, very happy.
Absolutely.
So once
The
this
traffic.
word gets out on this, I think we're going to have people just waiting for that date when that's finished.
And I think it was over a year ago that we first looked at the Bruton Commons, the Learning Commons there, and so excited because it was soon after York had opened, and couldn't wait, and then comes a pandemic, but it's finally going to happen. It's going to be awesome. It will be.
Finally going to happen. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shearhart.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
We're going to move on to our public participation at board meetings. Before I open up the public comments, I would like to share a few remarks as I do each month. The school board provides a public comment period for the public to comment on topics germane to the business of the school board. The school board expects that each speaker will be courteous, modeling to our students how one can respectfully disagree with others' views. We ask that the speakers address their comments to the entire school board and not to one individual board member, superintendent, staff member, or audience member. Speakers will present their comments from the podium, and each speaker may speak for up to 3 minutes. A timer is visible to speakers from the podium, and the speakers should conclude their remarks when the red light comes on. The timer will begin after you state your name and address. We are practicing social distancing this evening and continue to implement a few safety measures. We have provided individual sign-up sheets and pens for each speaker. I believe we have hand sanitizer at the podium, if anybody would like to use that before and after they speak, and we ask that you speak loudly as the safety shield may muffle your voice. So I will now open up public participation for comments for citizens. Our first speaker is Mr. Yakisic. If you can please come up, state your name and address, and then the timer will begin after that.
Good afternoon, members of the school board, superintendent, and members of the administrators and members of the community. So, my name is Juan Sebastián Yakisic. My address is 112 Foundry Court. I want to inform the entire community that I have filed a complaint against York County School Division, questioning the leadership of the York County School. The reasons are three. One is that a top administrator of the school lied to us. I have a special daughter, autistic, and this person lied to us, and nothing happened. The second motive is that I found evidence that the school division is somehow misrepresenting the statistic of bullying reports and probably harassment. I report these two and nothing happened. And that's a serious issue because if you don't investigate harassment or bullying, our kids are at risk. And the third motive is this letter. I'm not going to give any names just to be polite with the person involved. That it is a response to one of my requests and is full of false statements. And I will read two statements. I'm not going to mention any name. It says, your persistent harassment of the name of staffer is not only unprofessional, but replete of misrepresentation and slanderous lies. That's one sentence. The other is, over the past 2 years, you have attempted to bully and harass, name of the staffer. This is completely false, and it's very simple to verify, and the entire board has access to this one because I filed the complaint on Friday. And this is a serious issue because this is an accusation of crime. Harassment is a crime. Basically, this person is accusing me of committing a crime. I asked the school board to investigate this. You should be the first to condemn this attitude. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yakisic.
You're welcome.
Our next speaker is Ms. Johnson.
Good evening. My name is Dalila Johnson, 216 Ashton Drive. I'm a proud member of the York Education Association, and I'm happy to address you and the members of the community tonight. Every time we turn on the news or read a newspaper, we're constantly hearing about all the changes the country has faced due to COVID. Although COVID has thrown us few curveballs, we have also experienced a number of silver linings. We have learned much about ourselves and our ability to be resilient, kind, and caring. We have learned the importance of self-care and grace for others. We have learned the importance of our community and supporting one another. We learned that together we can make a positive impact in our students and our community. Whether it's smaller class sizes, more social workers, or additional after-work school programs, York Education Association will always speak out for the common good. Why? Because YEA members live here and are invested in our community. We are serious about every child's future. So let's get serious about what works. Giving educators a voice and ability to collectively bargain is a win for students and a win for our community. YEA is excited about the opportunity to work with the public and administration to lay the groundwork towards bargaining for the common good. Thank you for your attention and thoughtful consideration. And on a personal note, I would love to have the same change in Queens Lake with the parking spots. So I'm looking forward to that presentation for Queens Lake.
It's coming.
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. Our next participant for public comment is Ms. Wesley.
I'm good. Good evening. My name is Deborah Wesley. I live at 902 Dare Road, and I'm happy to be here this evening to address the members of the school board and Dr. Shandor. I am a proud member of the York Education Association and pleased to address you and the public tonight about collective bargaining and the power of negotiated contracts. Along with my fellow educators, I learned that collective bargaining leads to improved test scores. A 2018 study found that students achieve higher test scores on standardized tests in areas where educators' contracts are strong and working and learning conditions of our students are protected. One goal of the YCSD is to attract diverse educators, and great contracts attract teachers with diverse backgrounds and increase the quality of student learning experiences. Diverse candidates appreciate the opportunity to work for a district that offers collective bargained contracts. Sometimes you hear incorrectly that collective bargaining means teachers will go on strike. Negotiating and participating in collective bargaining does not give educators the right to go on strike. Virginia has a no-strike law that prohibits public employees from going on strike. Talking and negotiating with educators is a win for our students, a win for our staff, and a win for our community. It does not mean educators in the school board are adversaries. We have met previously with school board members and senior staff, and we can unequivocally say we all want what is best for our students. Thank you for your time and attention tonight. And since Ms. Johnson had a personal note, my personal note is I did sign up to teach summer school. I did apply.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wesley.
Yes, thank you.
Our next speaker is Ms. Bauer.
Good evening. My name is Carol Bauer. I reside at 314 Brook Lane. I'm honored and happy to be here tonight and appreciate the opportunity to address you. When we join together, educators, families, community leaders, we can create environments where every student can learn and flourish. We do not go into education to become rich, to make a fortune. We teach because we believe in the power of education and the difference it can make in a student's life. We believe in the common good, and we believe that together we are stronger. Collectively communicating, collectively negotiating will help our students get the schools and educations they need. No contract is one size fits all. Our schools are different and have different needs. Carefully listening to the educators in each building makes a difference. We look forward to engaging educators from every school as well as our bus drivers, custodians, and educators across the school division. We're building our team, and we encourage you to join with us. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'm trying to think of a personal note because everyone had one, but on the personal note is everyone have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bauer. Next, we have Ms. Jones.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Shandor, members of the board. My name is Dr. Whitney Jones, and I reside at 108 Mason Row on the Yorktown Naval Weapons Station. I am a proud member of the York Education Association, and I do appreciate the opportunity to address you and the public here tonight and on how collective bargaining works. Together, we can help ensure that each student has access to social and emotional support, meals, after-school programs, and high-quality instruction. Historically, educators have used contract negotiations to secure smaller class sizes, increase one-on-one attention for students from professionals such as nurses, counselors, and to make improvements in safety issues. Before Virginia's educators were denied the right to advocate for students, negotiations secured additional reading, art, and music teachers, fairness in school discipline policies, and clearer expectations for students and staff. You may have heard that collective bargaining cannot happen in Virginia. However, after May 1st, Virginia law will allow public sector workers to engage in the collective bargaining process. We want the public to know YEA is ready to work with both the school board and administration to provide great schools for York County. The YEA and the YCSD school board both have groundwork to do before we can begin. But as you know, educators are the experts when it comes to students. Educators must be at the table. As trusted professionals, educators are best equipped to make classroom decisions and school decisions that will ensure students can and will thrive. We need to listen to the educators who know the names and lives of their students. Education policy should be driven from the classroom up, and we do look forward to working together towards that goal. I do thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jones. Our next participant for public comment is Ms. Wade.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Wade. I reside at 111 Hidden Lane, Seaford, Virginia, 23696. I am a proud member of the York Education Association, and I'm happy to address you and the public tonight about collective bargaining. One thing I've learned about collective bargaining is that it's a standard labor practice. In the vast majority of the country, the right to negotiate contracts through their associations is an industry standard for educators. A new law has passed, or was passed in Virginia, and takes effect on May 1st, 2021, that can lead us to collective bargaining. Hampton Roads school districts, including York County, can position themselves on the right side of progress by ensuring school employees enjoy basic labor rights. As you know, educators' working conditions and our students' learning conditions, Having the supplies, support, and resources ensure that students have an improved environment and climate to learn in our schools. When stress is reduced and educators have safe working conditions, they can devote more time and energy to their students' academic success. We have seen multiple examples of this play out this year as educators at all levels are working to support our students while finding the right balance for their lives and family. When looking at data from educators across Virginia, 22% of teachers in Virginia do not return to the school after their first year. This number increases to almost 50% after 4 years. Poor working conditions and unfair expectations lead to teacher burnout. Collectively bargained contracts can help improve working conditions and prevent educator burnout. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wade. Those are all of the people who signed up for public comment. Is there anybody who wanted to speak who has not spoken yet? Okay, I now close the public participation for comments of citizens. And we'll move on to matters by board members. Ms. Girals, would you like to share first?
I I got to participate in the town halls put on by York County Youth Commission last week. I actually got to attend all 4 of them. It was the highlight of my week. Our kids are amazing. They asked amazing questions, in-depth questions, questions that I know we've been asking as school board members. So it was really not only enlightening, but encouraging to see that they weren't asking immature questions at all. I mean, they're really, really thinking about their climate, they're thinking about their education, they're thinking about their futures, and they're advocating for it. So it was really great to be a part of that and to listen to those questions and to be able to provide some answers and clarification and to work with our supervisors as well. I've got some school tours coming up in the next 2 weeks, and I'm excited because it'll be the first time I will have been in the buildings since we've had all of our in-person students back 4 days a week. So I can't wait to see what that looks like. I know our schools are doing a lot of spirit activities, so I'm excited to see that as well, and just, again, have a chat and look into some classrooms and see the great things that are going on. One thing I know I've encouraged in the past is as we are ending and getting to the end of our school year, I would encourage our administrators and people in our building to not only honor our kids that are signing to a college, but also find a way to honor our kids that are entering the trades and the workforce as well. I've seen a lot of articles about other school divisions doing some really cool things, and I'd like to see us continue to move towards that. I know it's been a great option for my son, and I know there's a lot of other kids that could benefit from that as well, and I just want to make sure we're honoring them. So, thank you very much.
Next, we'll have Mr. Myatt.
Absolutely. One of my primary responsibilities is on the board is as a representative to the Career and Technical Education Advisory Committee. So just a quick status update or meeting summary, if you will. I attended a meeting late last month for the advisory committee. The primary focus of the meeting was to update the committee on the division's progress on the Perkins grant application, which is a principal source for federal and state funding for CTE. And I know that Ms. Romanelli has worked very hard with our career coaches on preparing the application. During the meeting, we also welcomed our new career coach, Mrs. Robbie Garnett, who will serve Grafton and Tab school zones. And then Julie Warlick serves Bruton and York zones. And then finally, again, Jennifer Romanelli, Divisions Coordinator for Career Development, introduced the first edition of the YCSD Career Connections newsletter. So it's excellent, and it'll share important CTE program information, highlight successful student and community partnerships. So it was an excellent meeting, and it's always well attended. I also yesterday afternoon attended the 32nd Dr. Martin Luther King Afro Academic, Cultural, Technology, and Scientific Olympics, or ACSO, to celebrate students, and it's designed to recruit, stimulate, improve, and encourage high academic and cultural achievement among African American high school students. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the awardees from Tab High real quick. Abigail Elias is a 9th grader, Jacoby Melton, sophomore, Ahmed Ali, our 11th grader award winner, and Sarah Good, a senior and former senior of the month. And it was very well done. It's excellent. Of course, it was virtual, and many of us were able to attend. And then finally, we're wearing purple, as you may all know, and this is in celebration of the month of the military child. A majority of the military families in the division are from District 5, my district. In addition to being an Army veteran, I'm a military child myself. Attended 9 different schools. My dad was a career Army officer. So a sentimental place in my heart for military families and students. And we're mindful of the unique challenges and sacrifices our military children and their families encounter. And we're very thankful for the unique experiences and perspectives that military families, again, and their children bring to our community and schools. It enriches us all. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge again the month of the military child. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Myatt. Next is Mr. Schaefer.
Yes. Well, yes, thanks for talking about the military child, because it's near and dear to my heart, as I have 2 of my children are military spouses, and each are either pregnant or just had military children now. I will tell you that, well, the highlight of this month has been really today seeing the Bruton Learning Commons. That's just awesome. So that was definitely the high point. Other than after we did our Senior of the Month presentation to Elijah, I went down to the band room, which is near and dear to my heart, and it was so neat to see entire sections practicing. And I was invited to come back and join them for a practice, which I haven't done since I was a band parent in 2019. So I'm very much looking forward to that invitation to Bruton. Also, last week was the SOA Dance Jubilee, Jubilee of Dance on Thursday. And SOA just continues to amaze me of the skills and what these kids can do. It really is just a super thing, and it's available that you can go on and watch it now, as a matter of fact, on YouTube. Also, I participated with Laurel at the Bruton High School Town Hall, and we had a good time. I mean, we really did. And I had Walt Zaremba was our supervisor, and I think Walt had a very good time as well. And the kids asked, like Laurel said, awesome questions. They were great. And we got to share. I shared with them the whole history of how Bruton's been taken care of through the years and the whole of District 1, because it's always been looked at that District 1, the Northern District, was kind of like the poor stepchild of the county. But I was able to show them that it wasn't true, that we've had a lot of stuff done at each one of the 4 schools in my district. And more is coming, as we could see by the learning commons. So it was a great time. Looking forward to getting out some more and seeing more schools before the end of the year. And it's just an exciting time. Looking forward to graduation and Bruton's prom at the Freight Shed. Hey, they're stepping it up this year. They're at the Freight Shed and the beach. So it's just, I just can't wait. Thank you.
And Mr. Richardson.
Well, thank you. The town hall certainly was a hit, I think, with everyone. We used to do the town halls in person, of course, and I'm not so sure that the virtual way that we did it wasn't maybe better. I don't know. It worked out really well, but we weren't able to do it last year because of the pandemic. It was canceled, but it's just great talking to the kids and answering their questions and hearing their perspective. So also attended the Martin Luther King EXO celebration, acknowledging and honoring the accomplishments of some of our talented youths from York County, along with Williamsburg and James City County. And not just their academics, but their other talents as well. And it was an excellent program. It was great to see their accomplishments. Of course, today was probably the highlight for today was the Seniors of the Month. And boy, we really do have some talented young men and women in our community. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. As you've heard, the town halls was a very successful event. I was able to participate with Ms. Geraltz at the Grafton High School town hall, and I'm always, floored by some of the questions that the high school students have, and that what they really see is important in not just their school, but in the surrounding community as they ask questions to the Board of Supervisors as well. And it's just always nice to do it. I wish we could have more events like that where there was some more contact with the students and we could find out a little bit more what's going on for them. So I think that's something we can look at, in the future as well. The GIAC steering committee met last week, and I did want to give quick thanks to Ms. Head and Ms. Haywood as they're doing the hard work with that, and they're revising a lot of bylaws and everything. So I just wanted to make sure I gave them a quick shout out. And in addition to April being the month of the military child, it's also Autism Awareness Month, and I would like to thank all the special ed teachers and counselors and all the teachers that work with the children with autism for all the resources that they provide those students to help them be successful as well. And I also want to just mention now that we have people back in school 4 days a week at all grade levels, especially the elementary schools. I just wanted to give a quick thanks to all the teachers and the staff and the administrators, and also the York Coast and Sheriff's Office, as they're providing officers there to help with traffic in and out for parent pickup and drop off. And everyone's working together. It takes a little bit of time, but we get in and out safely every day, and I just appreciate all the work that everyone's done for that. So that's all I have for board matters. We are going to take a very quick 5-minute recess here, and then we'll reconvene. So I'm going to put us here in our 5-minute recess. Thank you very much.
hear me talk for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Make it abbreviated.
I'd like to call back to order the York County Regular School Board meeting for April 26th, 2021. And we're going to continue with our financial matters. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Higginbotham. Yes, I have financial matters again. And these are consideration approval of claims certified for payment for March of 2021. And payments related to instruction totaled about $294,400. And some of the significant ones, I'll just read a couple of them. New Horizons for special education tuition, $141,600. Unchartered Learning for high and elementary curriculum was $29,000. High school environmental science textbooks, $36,900. William & Mary for the spring semester cohort, $31,600. Amtech, $14,800 for 3D printers. Payments for IT totaled approximately $384,500 and included payments to for software renewal and load balancer refresh, which was $316,500. For surge protectors through Continental Contractors for two schools, Magruder Elementary and Coventry Elementary School, $10,800. Schick Communications, $40,000 for intercom, public address system, and clock replacement at Coventry Elementary. Virginia Business Systems, $17,200 for copier services. Our operations payments totaled $59,400, included payments to Dominion Energy, Ferguson Enterprises, and Republic Service, which is solid waste disposal. Dominion Energy was $38,000, Ferguson Enterprise was $11,300 for plumbing supplies, and Republic Service for the waste disposal was $10,100. So our payments related to administration totaled approximately $63,500 and included payment to CHKD for our athletic trainers. Payments related to construction projects totaled approximately $158,800 for Heartland Construction for the GRAFTON Complex, $22,800, and an RMM Architects, $136,000 for design work for Seaford Elementary. Payments for food service totaled approximately $319,000 to include payments to Sodexo for food service operations, and significant changes relating to the operating budget. For our March revenues, our state revenue is up approximately $3.5 million from March of 2020 based on the Department of Education's projected enrollment increase for this year, as we had reported last year, the same thing. For expenditures, instructional expenditures for March are up more than $2.7 million when compared to March of 2020. The increase is due to the cost of maintaining virtual and hybrid instruction programs. Revenues and expenditures, local food service revenue through March is down more than $1.5 million when compared to last year because students aren't being charged for meals for this school year, but the federal revenue has increased by more than $2.4 million over the same period as a result of the USDA's decision to cover the cost of all meals. So next we move to the consideration of approval of Resolution 21-17, a resolution authorizing specific procurement, and it requires the board's approval authorizing procurements of more than $50,000, and there are 9 items on this resolution. The first is for York High School roof repair and coating, $3,260,000. One-to-one technology initiative secondary is $1 million. Replace the gym floors at York Middle School and Tabb Middle School is $700,000. Bruton High Learning Commons and SOA restroom construction, $695,000. Food service contract, $351,000. Verizon Wireless for cell phones, $72,240. Mastery Connect for instructor is $60,705. A one-ton cargo van for the maintenance department is $63,100, and additional closed-circuit TV cameras through a security grant, $65,500. With that, Mr. Chairman, I now move to approve the financial matters as listed.
We need a second to approve financial matters.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Ms. Ford, if you'd like to pull the board.
Yes. A motion was made by Mr. Richardson and seconded by Mr. Schaefer to approve financial matters as listed. Board members, you may cast your vote. The motion passed 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. Next, we have our consent calendar. On our consent calendar, we've all had a chance to look over it in board docs. We will be In the consent calendar will be personnel actions, approval of minutes from a special meeting and work session on March 8th, 2021, and our regular meeting on March 22nd, 2021, approval of donations in the amount of $1,500, approval of the Carl Perkins grant application for fiscal year 22, and now we just need a member to make a motion to approve the consent calendar as listed.
Please.
I move that we approve the consent calendar as listed.
And a second?
Second, thank you.
Ms. Ford, we have a motion and a second, if you'd like to pull the board.
Yes, a motion was made by Mrs. Geralson and seconded by Mr. Myatt to approve the consent calendar as listed, and you may cast your votes. The motion passed 5-0. Thank you.
Moving on to our action items. First one is consideration of approval of a proclamation for National Teacher Appreciation Week for May 3rd through 7th, 2021. Dr. Shandor.
Thank you, Mr. Higginbotham. Teacher Appreciation Week is celebrated annually in YCSD, Virginia, and across the country in recognition of our great teachers and the amazing work they accomplish each day. Our teachers have done an outstanding job this year of working through challenges and finding innovative ways to engage our students. We value the quality of work of our teachers and applaud their dedication. Thank you.
Before I ask for a motion in a second, I believe Ms. Geraltz, you wanted to speak on that teacher appreciation?
Yes, I forgot to mention it in my Matters by Board Members. I know as a former PTA parent, it was like my Super Bowl week was Teacher Appreciation Week. So I'm excited to see what all of our PTA leaders and parents are doing in the schools that week. I know we're limited with the pandemic, but I think they're going to be really creative, and I'm excited about that. So it's always a great week.
Thank you. We are in need of a motion and a second to approve the proclamation for National Teacher Appreciation Week, May 3rd through 7th, 2021.
I move for, I think Sean and I are going to keep fighting. I move for approval of a proclamation for National Teacher Appreciation Week, May 3rd through 7th, 2021.
I'll second.
Thank you. Ms. Ford?
Yes, the motion was made by Mrs. Geralson and seconded by Mr. Myatt to approve the proclamation for National Teacher Appreciation Week. You may cast your votes. The motion passed 5-0. Thank you.
Next, we have consideration of approval of a proclamation for School Nurse Week, May 10th through 14th, 2021. Dr. Shandor.
Thank you, Mr. Higginbotham. We have 18 nurses on staff in YCSD. Also, Coordinator of Health Services, Ms. Alicia Hutchinson. I want to extend appreciation to Ms. Hutchinson for the valuable support that she's provided over the past year in the midst of unprecedented challenges. Also, school nurses are an essential component of the student's education, as we know that healthy students learn better. Our nurses have been instrumental during the past year in monitoring and maintaining safety measures, as well as providing caring service and support to our students. Thank you.
So now we are in need of a motion and a second to approve the proclamation for School Nurse Week, May 10th through 14th, 2021.
Mr. Chair, we approve a proclamation for School Nurse Week, 10 through 14, May 2021.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Ford?
Yes, the motion was made by Mr. Myatt and seconded by Mr. Richardson to approve the proclamation for School Nurse Week, and you may cast your votes. And the motion passed 5-0. Thank you.
Next, we have a consideration of approval of a proclamation for National Educational Bosses Week, May 17th through 21st, 2021. Dr. Shandor.
Thank you, Mr. Higginbotham. Again, in recognition of our many educational leaders throughout our school division, assistant principals, number of our folks at the school board office, and throughout YCSD. We are certainly blessed to have all of these folks in our school division. They ensure our students are prepared to contribute positively as productive citizens of the community and the world. I want to extend my appreciation to our entire leadership team for the excellent work they do on a daily basis. Thank you.
So now we need a motion and a second to approve the proclamation for National Educational Bosses Week, May 17th through 21st, 2021.
I'll make a motion for approval of the proclamation for National Educational Bosses Week, which is May 17th through the 21st, 2021.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Ford, we have a motion and a second. You can pull the board.
Yes, a motion was made by Mr. Schaefer and seconded by Mr. Richardson to approve the proclamation for National Educational Bosses Week, and you may cast your votes. The motion passed 5-0. Thank you.
And next, we have a consideration of approval for the fiscal year 21 pay plan updates. Dr. Shandor.
Thank you, Mr. Higginbotham. As I mentioned earlier in the meeting, we were going to have Dr. Vladu come forward, our Chief Human Resource Officer, and talk a little bit about some changes to the pay plan, which will include summer school. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Vladu. Thank you.
Mr. Higginbotham, members of the board, and Dr. Shandor. Tonight I bring before you two proposed changes to the current pay plan. First, as you'll remember from Ms. Skinner's presentation, responding to the learning needs of our families and students this year, we'll need to put together an expanded summer school beginning on June 28th. We know that competitive compensation is one piece to ensure that the staffing is required to put this together is available at that time. So based on a regional review, due to the longer hours required and the additional students that are expected to be served, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we're proposing to increase the hourly rates as follows. First, the teacher rate will increase from $28 to $35 per hour. Substitute teachers will increase from $28 to $30 per hour. Interpreter rates will increase from $26 to $29. Oral communication facilitators will increase from 18 to 22. Secretary from 14 to 18. Office clerk from 11 to 15. Paraeducators will increase from $10 an hour to $17 an hour. Health services provider at the registered nurse rate will increase from 21 to 26, and for licensed professional nurse or practicing nurse will increase from $10 to $15. So for 22 and beyond, the rates will still increase, but they'll return to the regional average. The second proposed rate to the pay plan tonight is related to the perfect attendance bonus for qualification. So as you well know, we have several employee groups. We look at custodians, we have bus assistants, bus drivers, as well as cafeteria workers who qualify for perfect attendance. In reviewing our pay plan, we found that the rates are different, the attendance rates. For instance, for one employee group is set at 95%. For the other employee group is set at 100%. So before you, we would like to make that consistent for all employee groups and update our pay plan for the current year. So based on the information I share with you, we recommend that you approve these changes for the current year pay plan.
And the consistent rate, Dr. Vladu, is 95%.
95%, that would be the consistent group across all groups, and that is the recommendation.
Thank you.
I just want to ask a quick question about summer school. So they said it was 8 to 1, but obviously I'm assuming contract hours are different than 8 to 1 for a staff member who's signing up to do summer school?
Where summer school is handled different, it is a per hour rate. It's outside of the annual agreement or continuing contract or provisional contract. So folks are signing up to do summer school based on the hourly rate. So it's approximately an hour and a half longer than in previous years. But certainly one thing to consider is also the demand for teachers. Many school divisions are hiring from outside as well. You heard from Ms. Skinner that we're hiring from inside and the outside, so there's a greater regional competition, and these rates will really make it competitive as folks are considering their plans for the summer.
So I think Ms. Carl's question was around, so summer school is from 8 to 1 o'clock
Correct.
every day. A teacher's hours would be essentially 7:30 to 1:30, correct?
That sounds about right. It is a little bit after the dismissal to take care of the, but I don't have those exact times. We could provide those to you at a later.
We'll share that information with you. But it's typically, any summer school program we've ever had, typically, obviously we don't want the teachers rolling in on 2 wheels at 8 o'clock and then leaving right at 1 o'clock. So there's typically there to plan early before the kids get there and then to do some, tidying things up, so to speak, and grading and whatnot in the afternoon.
But they're paid between those.
Right.
Correct.
So
Yes,
approximately a 6-hour day is what you're saying.
That's
I don't
right.
need to know the exact numbers. I was just, is it approximately a 6-hour
yes.
day? Okay, thank you.
Yep, we'll get you those hours. Thank you.
All right. So we need a motion and a second to approve the fiscal year 21 pay plan update.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the FY21 pay plan update.
I'll second.
Ms. Ford, we have a motion and a second. You can poll the board.
Yes, a motion was made by Mr. Richardson and seconded by Mr. Schaefer to approve the FY21 pay plan updates. You may cast your votes. The motion passed 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, moving along to our policy and discussion. We have, the first part is discussion of section GCVE/JEF, Memorials of the York County School Board Policy Manual. Dr. Shandor.
Thank you, Mr. Higginbotham and board members. This evening, Ms. Melanie Berry, our Deputy County Attorney, is going to present some information related to this policy. I'll turn it over to Ms. Berry.
The board has never established a formal policy regarding memorials for deceased students and staff. Since the Virginia School Board Association does not provide a model policy, this proposed policy was drawn from division practices, a review of policies from other jurisdictions across the United States, as well as school crisis guidance documents. The purpose of the policy is to set forth uniform guidelines for responding to the death of a student or staff member that provides multiple ways in which students and staff may express their grief in a positive and constructive manner. The policy is broken down into 5 different categories. The first category is temporary memorials, and this would include flower arrangements, banners, pictures, notes, a moment of silence, locker, and student desk displays, and memorial symbols that can be worn by students and staff. Temporary memorials generally would be displayed for up to a week following the death. The second category would be permanent memorials, and this would include endowments and scholarships that are administered by the York Foundation for Public Education, education or community service programs that have educational significance, as well as the donation of books or similar items with significance educationally. The third category is the school yearbook, and at the request of the family, a half-page acknowledgement memorializing the student or staff member may be included in the yearbook of the year of the death. The fourth category concerns memorials at graduation. Again, at parent guardian request, a plant or flower arrangement in school colors may be placed on the graduation stage to collectively recognize all students in the graduating class who have passed away during their high school career. A memorial pin may also be designed and worn at graduation to, again, collectively recognize those students. And diplomas may be awarded to those students who have passed away during their high school career and who have met all requirements prescribed by the Virginia Board of Education and School Board for award of a diploma. Additionally, there will be an option for a certificate to be awarded to those students who may have not met the requirements for a diploma, which will be awarded at the school-based awards ceremony upon parent guardian request. The final category will concern commemorative events. So again, upon request of a parent or guardian, a commemorative event such as a memorial service or candlelight vigil may be held in the name of a deceased student or staff member within the calendar year following the death. Included in this policy are also prohibited memorial activities that conflict with division policy or regulations, state or federal requirements, or may pose a risk of re-traumatizing surviving students and staff. We also have included a grandfather clause, which will exempt currently existing memorials from these new policy requirements. I would be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
I just want to clarify two things. And I've read over the policy, of course, before the meeting several times. We're being consistent with past practices that division has done, so we're trying to do stuff that has been done over the years. In addition to that, permanent school memorials through the YFPE, you just added that. I think you answered my question. Anything that's already been done would be grandfathered. They wouldn't have to go back and go, oh, stop, we have a new policy, right?
That's correct.
Perfect. You've answered all my questions. Thank you.
For a request, when you say a family or guardian is requesting that, would that start at the school? When they would request a specific memorial, or would that go straight to the school board office?
They would start at the school.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to thank you for the work. I know that, we didn't have anything, written down like
Right.
this, and looking at other, division policies, and then I think at one point there was supposed to be some guidance from the state, and then that didn't quite come down as in the timeline that we needed it. So I just want to thank you for your hard work putting that together. Okay, anything else, board?
That's all the questions
Okay.
I had. Thank you.
All right, thank you very
Ms.
much.
Berry.
Okay, we'll move on to the next discussion item, a revision of section EEA, Student Transportation Services of the York County School Board Policy Manual. Dr. Shandor.
Thank you, Mr. Higginbotham. Dr. Carroll is going to come back up, and he's already there. So Chief Operations Officer, he's going to share some comments related to this policy. Dr. Carroll?
Thank you, Dr. Shandor. Board, before you, you have proposed revision to policy file EEA, which is Student Transportation Services. Within that policy file, it governs the policy in regard to geographic areas that are going to be provided transportation and those that are not. Some are not, and that's usually because of their close proximity to the school itself. Staff is proposing a short revision that adds language establishing a waiver process for certain exemption or exemptions for families residing in the non-transportation zone. And the reason for this is a newly mandated change in Code of Virginia. So our recommendation is to schedule this revision of policy file EEA for a first reading.
Are there any questions from the board? All right, thank you very much, Dr. Carroll.
Thank you, Dr. Carroll.
Next discussion item is revision of Section JO, Student Records of the York County School Board Policy. Dr. Shandor.
Thank you, Mr. Higginbotham. Dr. Aaron Butler, our Director of School Administration, is now going to share some comments related to this policy. Dr. Butler.
Thank you, Dr. Shandor. Mr. Higginbotham, members of the board, before you this evening is a revision to School Board Policy JO, Student Records. Language was added to align our policy with House Bill number 1997, which amended the Code of Virginia requiring public elementary and secondary schools to develop a staff notification procedure upon receipt of a protective order. The added language delineates the different protective orders recognized by the state of Virginia and clarifies which school-based staff must be notified when a school is in receipt of a protective order. This applies to students, staff members, or parents. The revised language mirrors the Virginia School Board Association model policy. It has been reviewed by the Deputy County Attorney, and it has been discussed by a committee composed of different school-based and SBO stakeholders. I'm available for questions at this time.
Pretty straightforward.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Butler.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Butler.
Moving on, we have no items in our policy for first reading, so we'll go to our second reading. If I can turn my page. There we go. Second reading of policy section B is School Board Policy and Governance. Dr. Shandor.
Yeah, Mr. Higginbotham, there have been no additional changes.
Okay, so we need a motion and a second to approve the second reading of policy section B, School Board Policy and Governance.
I move that we approve policy second reading of policy B, School Board Policy and Governance.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Ms. Ford, we have a motion and a second. If you'd like to pull the board.
Yes, a motion was made by Mrs. Geralds and seconded by Mr. Schaefer to approve policy section B, the second reading, and you may cast your votes. Thank you. The motion passed 5-0.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. The next second reading of expedited policy section GBZ, Post-Retirement Earning Plan, or PREP. Dr. Shandor.
Thank you, Mr. Higginbotham. Sorry, I almost called you Mr. Richardson. Mr. Higginbotham. Dr. Vladu, our Chief Human Resource Officer, is now going to provide some more additional information related to the PREP program. Dr. Vladu.
Mr. Higginbotham, members of the board, and Dr. Shandor. Tonight I bring before you policy GBZ, or the Post-Retirement Earnings Plan, before you for an expedited review. The expedited review is required because of staffing timelines as well as retirement timelines. As you remember, back at the March meeting, you approved the funding for the PREP program. The program for the first year is going to be open to teachers, principals, and assistant principals for up to 20 slots. Under the PREP program, qualifying employees who choose to retire will return to work for 30 days to earn approximately 16% of their per diem or the actually annualized pay in their last year of retirement. The qualifying criteria is listed in the proposed policy before you. We're recommending the approval of policy GBZ based on those factors, and at this time, I am open for your questions and comments.
Any questions?
No.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vladu. So we are in need of a motion and a second to approve the expedited policy section GBZ post-retirement earning plan.
Mr. Chair, I think this is a great program, and I can see that it's probably going to help. I hope it helps. But I make a motion that we move to approve policy section GBZ, the post-retirement earning plan.
I'll second.
Ms. Ford, we have a motion and a second. If you would like to pull the board.
Yes, a motion was made by Mr. Richardson and seconded by Mr. Myatt to approve the policy, the second reading expedited of GBZ. So you may cast your vote. The motion passed 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ford. And we move now to the report of the superintendent, Dr. Shandor.
Thank you, Mr. Higginbotham. Just a couple brief topics this evening. First, on March 27th, I had the opportunity to attend the Job Jamboree that we held at Grafton High School, or at the Grafton Complex, I should say. Dr. Vladu and his HR team did an amazing job. We had a number of administrators interviewing for multiple positions over there. We had multiple departments involved. We were looking at teachers, paraeducators, bus drivers, bus driver assistants, crossing guards, custodians, classroom facilitators, instructional substitutes. They did an amazing job. So kudos to Dr. Vladu and his team. Second, I did want to make another announcement related to the Teacher of the Year program. This is sponsored by Town Bank through the York Foundation for Public Education. I want to extend my congratulations to this year's Division Teacher of the Year, who we named a few weeks ago, Ms. Stephanie Bean, Grafton High School Instructional Innovation Coach. We're certainly proud of all the work that she's done this year. As the Division Teacher of the Year, she's now a candidate for the Regional Teacher of the Year, as well as one, and then she moves on from that. She'll be one of 8 regional honorees that will be named State Teacher of the Year in the fall. Next, we also had, want to acknowledge the 2 other level winners. Miss Shanda Bandy, who was the Elementary Teacher of the Year, she's at Dare Elementary School, and Mr. Aaron Dodge, who was a teacher at Grafton Middle School. They're fantastic, fantastic teachers. All right, so we also have a listing of the 19 school level teachers of the year, along with our 3 finalists. That's available on our division website. And then also I mentioned Alicia Hutchinson earlier, who is our coordinator for our nurses, all 18 nurses. She was, we want to congratulate her. She was selected as the YCSD 2021 Division Level Support Staff Member of the Year. Well deserved, an amazingly difficult year for everyone. She's done a fantastic job with leading our nurses and advising Dr. Carroll, working very closely with Cheryl Parr on nights and weekends as they continue to contact trace. So super proud of her. She's done a tremendous job. And last but not least, this past Friday, we were able to go up to Walden Mill Elementary School and present Miss Patty Mudahay. She was recognized as our YCSD Division Level 2021 Paraeducator of the Year. Paraeducators provide such they do an amazing job providing daily support in our classrooms. We're certainly proud of all the work that she does up there at the school. We got to meet her children that day, and her husband joined us on the screen, so we're super proud of her as well for making the difference in the lives of all of our students. I also want to, just a couple comments related to our volunteers this evening. I'm glad we were able to recognize our elementary volunteers last month, and this month do our secondary volunteers. They contribute to the work of the school and really help aid our principals and teachers and everything else that we offer our schools. So we're so thankful for our volunteers in our schools. Lastly, we're quickly approaching the end of the school year. In just a few more weeks, we'll be having graduation ceremonies and planning family activities for summer break. In the meantime, I want to encourage all of our students to stay on task and finish the year strong. This concludes my superintendent's report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shandor. Our next work session will be held here at York Hall on Monday, May 10th at 6 p.m. Thank you and have a great week. We are now adjourned.